Hello, I'm a theater artist and you're a theater artist, and together we make... Okay, the first question is, should I wear a beanie? I don't think so. I'm not gonna wear a beanie, but don't judge the length of my hair, okay? Hi, it's been a little while. Like a month, I don't know. I've been gone, I've been doing my thesis role. I'm playing Philant in West Virginia University's production of The Misanthrope. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's okay. You don't have to. That's so mean. No, it's cool. It, like, rhymes and stuff. But I've been gone for a while, but don't worry, I'm in Tech Week, so I was like, let's make a YouTube video. This is gonna be a quicker one. It's not gonna be a love letter like Annie Baker, but it is kind of a love letter. Since I've been gone for a little while, I wanted to come back and give you something you can really enjoy and use to cheat on an essay. Because that's right, we're talking about someone that every acting student is gonna have to learn about one day, Anton Chekhov. Who is Anton Chekhov? Why is Anton Chekhov? When is Anton Chekhov? And Anton Chekhov was a doctor? Wow, 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 wee, wow. All right, I'm done doing bits. I'm gonna start this video. Oh, by the way, my golf clubs aren't here anymore. It's boxes of shoes. But look at these. I got the Vera Bradley Crocs. If you don't know who I am as a person, I own Vera Bradley Crocs. Anton Chekhov was born in 1860 in Taganrog, Russia. I don't know how to say it, but I'm gonna put it on the screen somewhere. Anton Chekhov is one of the most famous playwrights in the world. He is known for writing incredibly hyper-realistic plays set on the Russian countryside. I know what you're thinking. That sounds pretty boring, Justin. Well, you would be kind of right a little bit. Anton Chekhov doesn't write plays where huge things happen. He's not the Michael Bay of theater. Who would be the Michael Bay of theater? Is Joe Iconis the Michael Bay of theater? No, Joe Iconis isn't the Michael Bay of theater. Who is the Michael Bay of... Starkid. Starkid's the Michael Bay of theater. But Anton Chekhov is not that. Anton Chekhov is the OG hyper-realistic playwright. Anton Chekhov is the Annie Baker of the 1800s and early 1900s. But let me give you a little bit of information about the guy. The way this video is going to look is I'm going to do a little bit of a bio, and then I'm just going to talk about his plays. The big thing I'm excited to talk about is the adaptations and the translations of his plays, because every contemporary playwright in the freaking world, I'm not kidding, every single one, has written an adaptation or a translation of a Chekhov play. I don't know why I put a third finger on. And when I was first getting into Chekhov, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me do the bio. Okay, I wrote notes down. I'm prepared. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood, and it's 3 p.m. So Anton Chekhov was born in Taganrog, Russia. I really think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's here. Before becoming a playwright, he actually was a doctor. He was a medicine man. He went to medical school. And it's really interesting because his plays observe human characteristics and the way human behavior matters and how we react to each other in a way that no one was doing at the time. And a lot of people attribute that to his time as a doctor. Seeing people at their lowest or seeing people go through some of the hardest moments of their life gave Chekhov an eye for seeing and writing people being people. It's what built his empathetic and incredibly realistic characters. Chekhov does have a little bit of heightened language because it was written in the 1860s in Russia and it's primarily translated, but if you get a really good translation, you'll understand it fine. Chekhov, medicine boy, he's a medicine boy. And then he goes, oh, I want to be a writer. So Chekhov started writing for fun, writing short vignettes, sketches, political satire, stuff like that. But Chekhov didn't want people to know that he was a writer because he was a medicine man by day. So he took up different pseudonyms, right? Favorite one of his pseudonyms, and this is real, he went by Man Without Spleen for a while. I don't know. But he starts writing for really, really great papers. He writes for the Fragments, the New Times of St. Petersburg, and then he gets diagnosed with tuberculosis. No, oh no, oh no. But it doesn't stop his writing. It just makes him really think about what he wants to do with his life. So he writes a short story collection called At Dusk. And in 1888, Chekhov wins the Pushkin Prize, which is like a hugely coveted Russian writing prize at the time. He takes the full turn to writer. In 1887, Chekhov is hired by a theater. He's commissioned to write a play where he writes the play Ivanov. We're going to go over his big plays later on in the video, okay? But his experience after writing this play is freaking hilarious. I have to read this part. It makes me laugh whenever I read it. In a letter to his brother, Anton Chekhov described the experience of writing a play as sickening. Basically, he hated the chaos of the theater, and he hated everyone around him. He hated everybody. but he was taking gigs because he didn't know how much time he had left on the earth. And unfortunately for Anton Chekhov, Ivanov was a hit. Critically acclaimed, praised to the high moons, to the skies, whatever. Which then made our good friend Anton look at his life, realize that he was now becoming the sole beneficiary, supporter, I don't know, for his family. And he takes a turn into playwriting. And from his ability to write satire and his knowledge of the human experience as a doctor, it all culminates into a type of play that no one has read before at the time. It's Chekhov, it's hyperrealism, it's Russian people sitting on a pasture. And while a lot of people find that to be boring, I personally find it to be fucking brilliant. That's a little bit of a bio on Anton Chekhov. There's going to be an even better bio about Anton Chekhov coming out on a certain podcast I'll talk about at the end of the video. But now I want to deep dive, well, not deep dive, medium dive. I want to jump into the kiddie pool of his big four plays. And those big four plays in chronological order are The Seagull in 1896, Uncle Vanya in 1897, Three Sisters in 1901, and The Cherry Orchard in 1904. We're not going to be talking about any of the one acts, but know that like The Marriage Proposal and The Bear are like really good or whatever. I'm a really big fan of his newest one act. It's called The Festivities, if you want to read something a little bit shorter of his. We're also not going to be getting into Ivanov because I don't know that play very well and I haven't read it and I don't want to talk about it. Really quick, there's a play called Platinov that he was writing when he was dying, but he didn't finish it because he died. I love that play. It's basically about a guy and all these women are in love with him in town and he's kind of a douchebag and he's trying to figure out which woman he wants to date. And I recommend everybody go read this play, but it's an unfinished play. So every single time you read this play, it's not a translation. Even if it says it's a translation, it's not. It's an adaptation. It's the playwright has to finish the play. So you could read one version that's like 300 pages and one version that's 120 pages, and they both might call themselves a translation, but they're not. They're an adaptation. Hot takes with Justin. But it is a great play, and I recommend everyone to read it, because I like it a lot. Hello, this is Editing Justin letting you know that Platinov actually was written in 1878. I did research because I was wrong. Shut up. And Chekhov did write 5 acts of a play. He just always felt that it was unfinished and he didn't like it or whatever. And it was never touched until 1997 when a theater company took it and then kind of made it into an actual full-length play with like a full story arc. So like Chekhov did technically write all of Platinov, but everything you read is not like his ending. He still didn't finish a play. So I was kind of right. Shut up. And also, we're not going to talk about The Wood Demon. The Wood Demon is a play he wrote that became Uncle Vanya, and he like used parts of it. I've read an early translation of The Wood Demon. It's just the bad parts of Uncle Vanya. It's not very good. And I'm happy he built Uncle Vanya from it, but we're not going to talk about it. Just know that Uncle Vanya once was a wood demon. That's all you got to know. So without further ado, let's do a little overview of these 4 plays and talk about why you need to know them, what you should know from them, and the most important part, the cool contemporary translations and adaptations that I like about them. I also really do like the old translations, like the actual. I love Chekhov. I think he's wonderful, but there are some really cool adaptations. We're going to talk about Annie Baker. Shut up. We'll get there. The Seagull by Anton Chekhov. It's nighttime now. I don't think there'll ever be a time I make a video where I can make it all in one sitting. I'm still wearing the same outfit, so continuity. Seagull was written 1896. Here's a little like overview of the plot. Constantine is putting on a reading of his new play to be read by his neighbor and his love interest, Nina. Ooh la 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 la. He's putting it on in front of his fancy, wealthy adult neighbors, his mom, the famous actress Arkadina, and her new love interest and famous writer, Boris Trigorin. Throughout the play, Constantine gets jealous of Trigorin because he has this like motherly, like, I wish my mom loved me more. And then Trigorin falls in love with Nina, who's Constantine's love interest. And then Constantine's mad at Trigorin because he stole Nina from him. Constantine hates Trigorin, and Trigorin's kind of above it all, and the mom is annoyed, and Nina is like not into it. You know how like you can be like way too into somebody, and it makes the other person not like you at all? That's Constantine and Nina. Lots of mama-son drama, lots of power dynamics in the arts, lots of like messed up relationships, lots of rich Russian people at their vacation home. The Seagull's incredibly famous. I love it so much. It's like by far my favorite Chekhov play. I have my laptop here because I'm reading my notes. Leave me alone. Fun fact of the day, Stanislavski directed this in 1898 at the Moscow Art Center, and he claimed it to be one of the greatest moments in theater history. That's a quote. It is a brilliant play, it is beautiful, and it's a great like opening to this beautiful Chekhov style of this like I kind of early shoot the shit style of playwriting, this hyper-realism for these people in this time. Some famous productions of it. In 2001 at the Public Theater in New York City, Meryl Streep was in it. Oh my God. In 1996, I want to say, there's a Broadway revival of the play, and Ethan Hawke played Constantine. That's pretty cool. The Royal Shakespeare Company did a production, I think in 2008, and Ian McKellen played Trigorin, but he only played it on a couple nights because he was doing it at the exact same time he was doing King Lear on the West End. So he was doing like King Lear and he was doing the Seagull and King Lear at the same time. He's a god. He's a god. And now let's get to my favorite part. Really great translations. Tom Stoppard and David Hare. David Hare does like really wonderful true to text translations that I love. So check him out for sure. Some amazing adaptations now. Tennessee Williams wrote an amazing play called The Notebook of Trigorin. He was commissioned by the Vancouver Playhouse. And it's basically a play in Tennessee Williams, like very like brooding style that looks deeper into the character of Trigorin, this like old famous writer who's thrust into this like family drama. Thomas Bradshaw wrote a modern adaptation called The Seagull, Woodstock, New York. It premiered this year with the new group in New York City, Parker Posey, Nat Wolff, Hari Neff, and I saw it with my friend Erica. It was cool. They all went out and like stretched like actors doing a play before the show. It made me really happy. Also, Nat Wolff plays an amazing Constantine. He plays such a good sad writer boy. And then let's talk really quick about Stupid Fucking Bird. Stupid Fucking Bird is a play by Aaron Posner. It's a modern adaptation. It breaks the fourth wall. It was like Aaron Posner's like huge big moment of like, I write Chekhov adaptations and I'm good at it. It's really, really good. Stupid Fucking Bird is awesome. It's the play that I saw that made me realize what contemporary theater is. So I am very like close to it. I also saw that before I ever read Chekhov for the first time. I didn't really understand what it was until I started reading Chekhov, and then I reread Stupid Fucking Bird. Stupid Fucking Bird is very overdone, but it's important, so go fucking read that play. And that's The Seagull, baby. Uncle Vanya by Anton Chekhov. Serbirkov. I'm gonna call him Sir. Chekhov writes some very Russian names that I will struggle to pronounce, so I might give people nicknames. Leave me alone. Sir and Yelena are coming back to Sir's state, which is being looked over by Vanya and Sonia, and they're like often accompanied by their friends, including a doctor named Ostrov. Ostrov? Fuck me. Sir is bringing back his partner, Yelena, who Vanya immediately falls in love with. So does Ostrov. Also, Sonia is in love with the doctor, and Sir wants to sell the estate that Sonia and Vanya watch. Basically, everyone's in love with everyone, and they might sell their home. Which honestly is kind of the plot to every single Chekhov play. But we'll get more into that later on. A gun comes out, which is important. This is kind of like, there's a gun in The Seagull too, but people say that Uncle Vanya, when the gun came out, is when the term Chekhov's gun was like created, basically. This is the one that's based off an earlier play called The Wood Demon. It's one of my favorite plays. I love sad, mean, old men, and this is the epitome of that. It just follows like a fucked up pessimist who is like very angry that he's in love, and he's in like a very unfortunate love square. It's very fun. It's very sad, but it's very fun. Adaptations. Annie Baker wrote a beautiful translation of it. I would recommend everybody read this play. Annie Baker's Uncle Vanya, I think, is the best translation to ever be written. And I am not biased at all. Life Sucks by Aaron Posner. Basically, he wrote Stupid Fucking Bird, and they were like, that's awesome, can you do it again? And he did. I don't love it as much, but if you like Stupid Fucking Bird, you'll probably enjoy it. His Three Sisters adaptation is way better. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. This year, in June, July of 2023, Paul Schmidt's translation was put on off Broadway in an apartment. It's really cool. I've actually seen a lot of theater companies doing Uncle Vanya in an immersive apartment space recently. And this one was like brilliant. A lot of really famous people were in it. Uncle Vanya is kind of like that. You can put it in an apartment and it totally works. They did it in West Virginia and I wasn't able to go see it. So I really want to see a immersive production of it. And I have some really cool news. Kind of tea, but you probably already know about it. Uncle Vanya's coming back to Broadway, I think through Lincoln Center. I'm pretty sure it's being adapted by Heidi Schreck. We love Heidi around here. But there's a rumor that the person playing Vanya is Steve Carell. Yeah. Like Michael Scott. I would love this so much. I think he'd be a perfect Uncle Vanya. So yeah, that's really exciting. Some tea. Uncle Vanya. Bah! Three Sisters by Anton Chekhov. Olga, Masha, Irina, Three Sisters. That's the name of the play. They live on the Russian countryside and they like yearn to move to Moscow. The whole play, they're like, let's go to Moscow. I want to go to Moscow. Moscow's so much better than here. They live a super boring life. So like when the army comes to town, they're like, oh my God, something to do, which is like very funny to me. But their dream of a new life is crushed when their brother gets married to someone that they hate and then comes home and goes like, guys, I have some debt. We got to sell the house. Money problems and a Russian house being sold. Chekhov is not very original sometimes. Are you listening to me, sir? Are you listening to me, Anton? But there's a fire, and there's a duel, and there's affairs, and there's love triangles, and there's breakups, and it's very Chekhov. Again, it's just like rich people in Russia doing rich people Russia stuff. I'm going to get into my thoughts on all that in the next one. Let's do some quick adaptations and translations. Tracy Letts wrote a wonderful translation that premiered in 2009 in Portland. I think it was at ART. I compare it a lot to Annie Baker's Uncle Vanya. It's a really good closest source translation. If you're struggling with some Chekhov text, the Tracy Letts Three Sisters, Annie Baker on Uncle Vanya, I think Sarah Rule's Cherry Orchard? I don't know. But like those kind of like really strict translations that are written by contemporary playwrights make it really adaptable and digestible for people like me who get confused sometimes when they're reading like slightly heightened text. And when I say heightened text, I do not mean fucking Moliere or like Shakespeare. Like it is still very hyper realistic. It was just written for people in the late 1800s in Russia. So direct translations are different than what we usually read. But there have been some wonderful productions of Three Sisters. CSC, Classic Stage Company in New York City, did a production with Maggie Gyllenhaal and Peter Skarsgård. One of my favorite theater companies is Rash Dash. They're a feminist theater trio of women. They're like fucking awesome. And they did a production of Three Sisters. This is a totally different note, but I love them so much. And they have an amazing album they made during the lockdown. It's called Don't Go Back to Sleep by Rash Dash. You have to listen to them. They are fucking brilliant. And the last one I want to talk about is Aaron Posner's adaptation of this play because it's so cool. Aaron Posner wrote a play called No Sisters. Three sisters, no sisters. Do you get it? And it's a play written to look at the rest of the people in the household. The help, the lieutenants, all of them, not the three sisters. And the play takes place at the exact same time as the original Three Sisters, but focusing on all of the other characters in like a back room at the back of the house or whatever. So if you do it correctly, this play can be done at the same time as a production of Three Sisters with the same cast interchanging and going back and forth. And I know what you're wondering. Who cares about that? Studio Theater did for the world premiere of No Sisters. That is right. I'm going to say something insane. In their proscenium space upstairs, they were doing a production of Three Sisters. Then in their black box space downstairs, they were doing No Sisters. They're running them at the exact same time with the same cast, running back and forth and doing both shows. I'm not kidding. I would pay an exorbitant amount of money to see this done in rep. To see Three Sisters done in a matinee and then No Sisters done with the exact same cast in a night show, that is like my dream Saturday. It's awesome. But that's Three Sisters. Boom! The Cherry Orchard by Anton Chekhov. This is the play I know the least, so I'm going to read my notes directly. The play revolves around an aristocratic Russian landowner who returns to her family estate, which includes a large and well-known cherry orchard. Name of the play. You're going back because it's just about to be auctioned off in order to pay their mortgage. A Russian house being sold for money problems. Kind of like Uncle Vanya. Kind of like Three Sisters. A little bit like the Seagull. It's Chekhov. It's Chekhov. He does one thing. Now, Lubov, the main woman, isn't getting offers she wants on the house, so she lets the son of a serf, or like a peasant, basically, buy this cherry orchard from her. Issue with that is this guy wants to cut down the cherry orchard. The whole play is about like, who should they sell it to? What should they do? They need the money, but they don't want to lose this cherry orchard that's so important to them and their community. It's actually a really beautiful play that I love very much. But I understand that this is the fourth play in a big four, and all of them have very similar structures. But that's what it is. Chekhov writes a structure that he has perfected. The structure that he found is a hyper-realistic portrayal of a aristocratic Russian family. And he found that it connected with his audience at the time, so yeah, I get why he would write it. If something's not broke, don't fix it, you know? But instead of just churning out BS over and over and over again, he was able to look deeper into the characters. Okay, and this is where I'm gonna get big brain for just a second. I love hyperrealism more than anything. We know that from my Annie Baker video. And we know that from now. We also know that from like what I write. I love writing in hyperrealism. I love one set, no time changes, just letting it ride and seeing like human connection, human behavior on the stage. The thing I love just as much as theater is improv comedy. I did improv in Chicago for a long time, and it's like one of my favorite things to do. And the most important thing in long form improv, specifically the Herald, which is something that I did at a place called the IO Theater, the most important thing is the relationships. It's not about the jokes. It's not about the structure. You fuck with the structure all the time when you're good at it. It's about the relationships and building relationships that the audience cares about and that the performers care about. And that's what hyperrealism does. Chekhov created the structure and it worked. It's worked since the beginning of time. This hyperrealistic slice of life structure. And because it works, he doesn't have to think about it too much. He gets to focus on the relationship and the characters. I would argue Lubov in The Cherry Orchard, and I know I'm saying it wrong, I don't know, shut up. The main woman in The Cherry Orchard, I think, is one of the most defined characters in theatrical history. We see her go through a range and arc of emotions I'd put on the same level of like Hedda Gabler, of Lear, of like all three characters from the flick. I still think Annie Baker's the best. Chekhov did something brilliant with the structure that he created. I'm getting ahead of myself. That'll be in the outro. Translations and adaptations of The Cherry Orchard. Libya Peel, the person from Oregon Shakespeare Company, wrote and directed an adaptation of this in her when she left the company 2007, I think, and I've heard it was wonderful. And there's not a ton of others. The other big one was Roundabout Theater Company revived it on Broadway with a Stephen Karam adaptation. I love him so much. And Diane Lane was in the production. So cool. Yeah, that's The Cherry Orchard. That's Chekhov. Let's get to an outro. An outro. I kind of went off during the Cherry Orchard segment, so you know how I feel. Chekhov created a structure that worked, and Chekhov created a structure that would inspire contemporary playwrights forever. And we know that for a fact because all of them adapt his work and translate his work. It's just something that happens. Halle Pfeiffer, Annie Baker, Tracy Letts, Stephen Karam, everybody, Sarah Rule, they've all adapted Chekhov. And it's because he is the best of the best at writing hyperrealism. And he's the best of the best at caring about the characters and the relationships over everything else. And because of my improv background and because of my love of hyperrealism, I think that's why I'm so obsessed with Chekhov. And look, I will be the first to say Chekhov is scary. It's like Shakespeare, it's like Moliere. It's like whenever you find this new heightened language, sometimes it's scary to bite it off. Well, I always recommend reading a cool translation that's really close to the source text, but before you jump into really tight translations like David Hare, or really intense adaptations that are really like off the beaten path, kind of like Aaron Posner. I love Chekhov so much, and I'm very excited because I know in the next 10 years, I'm gonna write my adaptation of one of these plays, and I cannot wait for people to read it. He's an inspiration to hyperrealism playwrights like me. He was the first to do it, I would argue, and I think he's one of the best in history. Chekhov is an important person to know, and I proudly will make video essay after video essay about him. And I will also proudly stand in line for 30 hours to see Heidi Schreck write Uncle Vanya starring Steve Carell. If that happens, I'm gonna lose my mind. That's Chekhov. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, like the video, I guess. Hit subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff. Let me know your favorite Chekhov play down there. Or if you hate Chekhov, let me know and I'll yell at you in the comments. And make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to make like a video like once a month, but I'm also putting some shorts up here, so check out my stuff. You might know me from TikTok. If you somehow found me and you don't know my TikTok's at Mediocre Jokes. I make a ton of theater content over there. I also have a theater podcast called Play to Z. We make a ton of theater content with my friend Erica Kuhn. It's really fun. Go check that out. Oh, I almost didn't give you guys the news. I have another podcast coming out with The Scene. The drop day should be really soon. I don't know when. Go follow me on Instagram at justinborak. I'll have all the information up there, but seriously, I'm really proud of this podcast. The people at The Scene, my friend KJ, who's my producer, everybody's also on it, and I cannot wait to show you guys what we do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say. Oh, go read my plays on New Play Exchange. Oh, wait, I know what I want to say. I redid my website. Look, there it is. Go check out my website, justinborak.com. I'll put like a link in the description if I figure out how to do that. I'm a bad YouTuber. But yeah, check out my new play exchange. I just wrote a new short play called Your Dad Crying in a Black Suit. I'm also working on an adaptation of The Misanthrope by Moliere called Haters Gonna Hate that I'm really proud of. All my stuff goes on New Play Exchange or it goes through my publisher, Play Scripts. My new play Cabin Chronicles should be coming out in December. And you still get Community Garden anywhere you buy plays, including the Drama Bookshop. I'm so proud my name is in that store. Thank you all for watching. I thought this would be short. It's longer than I'm expecting. I'm hoping it's not as long as the Annie Baker video, but we will see. Editing Justin here again. It's almost as long as the Annie Baker video, and it's just as hard to edit. Making YouTube videos is really fucking hard. I love you all very much, and I hope you all have a theater-tastic day. Oh, God, that sucked. I suck. I hate myself. Bye, everybody. Be good people. I stole that from Dead Meat. Is that okay? He doesn't own Be Good People. I should just steal other people's outros. Bye, everybody. Be good people. I love you, Dead Meat.